Hello to my HTG pod crew. What is up, y'all? We're here with another week, and normally what would be probably maybe my favorite golf week of the year, maybe outside of Masters week, right? We're here with the Waste Management Phoenix Open, an event that, you know, if we had full field of fans or a full grandstands full of fans, I'd be going, to be honest with you. I love this event. The fact that it takes place every year on the same weekend as Super Bowl weekend provides a really, really unique golf experience and a really unique betting experience too, with all of the cross sports sort of bets and parlays that you can get in. So love this week. Big fan of Waste Management Week. You know, I've been to the event before with some buddies of mine, and we got real rowdy around the 16th green. It's a hell of a time. And we will still see some fans around that 16th. They are still going to build a Coliseum, so there still will be a little bit of a buzz, a little bit of electricity on that hole, but unfortunately, really not going to be the same as it normally is in this COVID environment. But I'm still pumped up for the event anyway, especially since we're coming off the heels of a great week last week, or at least a golf in the news week, right? A controversial week. Coming off of the Farmers Insurance Open. Patrick Reed, P. Reed, the piggy, oink oink, comes in with the win, dominating fashion. Shot 14 under, 5 shots clear of second place. But of course, what everyone will think about, or what's top of mind for the event last week, is the events that took place Saturday, where Reed was afforded a drop for a plugged ball. Even though replay clearly showed his ball taking a pretty large bounce. With that being said, that doesn't mean that the ball could not have broken ground even after bouncing. And, you know, the PGA Tour and those officials have said that Reed handled everything the way that he should have, and that the ruling was handled the way that it should have been handled. So at that point in time, I really don't know why everyone's crying. Like, if the PGA Tour and their officials say that it was handled properly, let's go ahead and take them at their word for it. Like, I understand that everyone loves to fucking hate Patrick Reed. Like, they really do. Like, people really do love to hate Patrick Reed. But, I mean, let's be real. Like, the PGA Tour has told us that that was the correct ruling that the officials made, and that Patrick Reed did nothing wrong. So, you know, when Tiger gets to have a boulder moved at Waste Management, or ends up on the roof at the Bridgestone, right there in Akron, and he gets, you know, the benefit of the rules, no one really seems to be too miffed. And, you know, of course, we all love the GOAT, old Eldrick Tiger Woods. But let's be a little fair here, and let's not necessarily, you know, criminalize Patrick Reed for a ruling that the PGA Tour has said was the correct one. So I understand Reed has a history, Reed has a past when it comes to competitive advantages, to cheating, things of that nature. But on this one, I think you guys just got to let it go, man. The guy balled out. He was 5 shots clear of second place. Let's give him credit where credit's due. And moving forward, if people don't want to play Patrick Reed and his ownership projections are going to drop because of this narrative around him, let's take a step back and look at this. We've got a guy that is unafraid to take advantage of any competitive advantage he sees. He is really, really fucking good at golf and a proven winner. And he's going to come in with lower ownership than he should. Patrick Reed's a guy we're going to have to put our emotions to the side on, as we normally do. And quite honestly, as you guys can probably tell, I'm a fan. I like the villainous nature of Reed. I like that everyone loves to hate him. And I like that we stand to benefit by not succumbing to those biases. So Reed was amazing at Farmers last week. Absolutely balled out. One of the few players in that field really that isn't big off the tee that really would have had a chance. And it's just because that guy is so strong around the greens and on the greens, and his ball striking, when it gets hot, it gets white hot. So P. Reed, man, we're going to have to keep an eye on him. We're going to have to keep an eye on his projected ownership. I'm suspecting that people aren't going to want to play him. But I just had to get that rant on Patrick Reed out of the way first, because, man, I feel like a lot of people are just haters. Before I get into the rest of the recap, let's go ahead and spark this puppy up. Today, I'm actually smoking something I've smoked before. I believe I smoked this for the Sony. I'm smoking Durban Poison. The grower's Elyon. It's a sativa. It's testing at 22.92% THC. And we had a good time with this one last time, so I'm excited to get back into it. So let me get this sparked, and then we can finish our Farmers Insurance recap. Hope you guys are feeling good this week. Ready for a big waste management week? I know I am. Keep the same lighter trick. Okay. And we're off. All right, so back to the Farmers Insurance recap. Rory McIlroy, a guy who I've pegged to be the player of the year this year, a guy who I think is going to have a pretty massive chip on his shoulder, all things considered, given his lackluster finish to last season. Rory was playing really well through the first 3 rounds. Sunday, he just didn't bring it, right? And that's sort of been an issue for Rory over the last couple years. A guy that has plenty of top 20, top 10, top 5 finishes to his name, but just here over the last few years has not been able to polish off those Sunday rounds to get himself into the winner's circle. So Rory still obviously dominating off the tee. Everything looks to be solid. We just need him to put together 4 rounds in one event, and he's going to win because he's Rory McIlroy, and he's arguably the best player in the world when he's in form. So we want to continue to keep our eye on Rory. The ball striking still in form. Just we need him to string together 4 good rounds. It was also interesting to see that Xander Schauffele finally played well there in San Diego at Torrey Pines. Schauffele grew up in the La Jolla area, so in the San Diego area. He's very familiar with Torrey Pines. It's a golf course that since he started playing the event on the PGA Tour, since he started playing the Farmers, people sort of expected Xander to hold a bit of an advantage on that golf course, given how much he's played that course and courses like it in the area over his career, over his young career as well as his professional career. So it was nice to see Xander finally show some form on a course that's near his hometown. So we'll definitely look at that moving forward for this event. We can kind of get that narrative that Xander can't play at Torrey on the tour out of our head. Not that it should have been a narrative anyway, especially with a player that good. But just interesting to note that Xander finally showing out in an event near his hometown. And there's one more really, really interesting thing to note from last week. And I have to get this thing relit before I actually mention it to you guys. You guys remember this dude by the name of Francesco Molinari? This guy that was absolutely unconscious a couple years back, held on to win the Open Championship with Tiger Woods trying to chase him down the stretch, competed in the Masters that year until he ultimately fell apart and let Tiger Woods catch him. Yeah, that guy hit the shit out of the ball last week at the Farmers. Really showing his first true signs of returning to form. Gained over 8 strokes tee to green at the event. I mean, that is a huge turnaround for Molinari. The 6-under round he shot on Sunday was buoyed a lot by a hot putter, but all week, like I mentioned, over 8 strokes gained tee to green. All week, Molinari was absolutely crushing the ball. So Molinari is someone that can actually come back onto our radar next time we see him. Unfortunately, we won't see him this week, but next time we see Molinari at a course that is a good fit for him, we're going to have to take a look. It looks like he might be returning to some solid form and maybe will return to be that guy we saw a few years ago. So keep an eye on Mr. Francesco Molinari. And yeah, outside of that, those are really my big takeaways for what our DraftKings player pools will be looking like moving forward as a result of what I saw last week. So yeah, again, it was a great event. I like to see Patrick Reed win, so probably a better event for me than for most. But I had a lot of fun with it last week, and I think you guys who are still hating on Reed need to let it go, man. You need to let it go. All right, well, that's enough about the Farmers and last week. Let's get into the fun stuff this week. Super Bowl week, Waste Management Phoenix Open week. We're going to do the course breakdown first. We are at TPC Scottsdale in Scottsdale, Arizona. Par 71 golf course playing at 7,261 yards. They will be putting on Bermuda green surfaces this week. And since we are putting on Bermuda green surfaces, it should come as no surprise to you that Webb Simpson is your defending champion. Shot 17 under last year and won in a playoff over Tony Finau. As I mentioned, there will be limited fans in attendance, but we still will have the Coliseum style setup at the par 3 16th hole. So that'll at least be cool. Maybe won't be as electric as in years past. Definitely won't be as electric as in years past, but at least, the players will have that that sort of environment that they're used to on the 16th there at the Waste Management. Weather. This week in Scottsdale, weather's going to be in the low to mid 70s all week, and winds are moderate, 5 to 8 miles an hour. So scoring conditions should be good for these guys. A golf course where typically the winning scores anywhere from the mid-teens to the low 20s, mid to high teens typically. There was one year in there where Phil Mickelson absolutely stormed the field and posted something in like the high 20 under range. But typically we'll see a winning score in the mid to high teens. Okay. So what kind of golf are we looking for this week? Our model's really simple this week, guys, and I really like it. And it points us to some players who have had success on this golf course in the past. So it sort of reinforces, I think, that we're looking at the right things. We're going to be looking at strokes gained approach, strokes gained tee to green, and then a couple of short game statistics that we're actually going to weigh pretty heavily here. We're going to do strokes gained around the green and strokes gained putting, both of which have correlated to success on this golf course at TPC Scottsdale. So on these Bermuda green surfaces, you're going to have to be rolling it well on Bermuda, and your short game's going to have to be intact. Even though the winning score will get to the mid to high teens, as I said, you're going to have to be able to scramble, not only on the par fours to save pars, but also on the par fives to scramble for your birdies. So again, strokes gained approach, strokes gained tee to green, strokes gained around the green, and strokes gained putting are the stats we're going to look at. We have no withdrawals this week, so the entire DraftKings player pool is at your disposal this week. And I will, as always, save my winner for when we get to them in the player pool mentions. Which brings us to our top shelf plays. The first top shelf play, an Arizona State alum himself, Mr. Jon Rahm, coming in at $11,200 price tag, 22.4% projected ownership. He's familiar with golf courses in the area and how they'll play. He plays well on Bermuda greens, and he's one of the best players in the world. So yeah, even though he is the most expensive player, the highest priced player on this slate, Rahm checking in pretty solid, coming in 26th in the custom model, 25th tee to green. So he's going to be a solid tee to green player. The short game has not been stellar as of late over the last 24 measured rounds, 46th around the green and 45th putting, but we know that Rahm carries a lot more upside than that. Especially around a golf course that is in an area that he's familiar playing with, again, given that Rahm is an Arizona State alum. So I do like Rahm at $11,200. Maybe not my favorite play, especially at that 22.4% projected ownership. But I do think you can go to Rahm up here in the top shelf. And really, outside of Xander, I'm okay with going to any of these guys in the top shelf. With that being said, my next top shelf play, and surprised he's priced below Xander Schauffele. Xander at $11,000 seems overpriced to me, especially when you get Justin Thomas at $10,800, 21.2% projected ownership. I would much rather pay down to JT than paying $200 more for Xander. I'd rather pay down to JT than paying $400 more for Rahm as well. JT, of course, coming off of those insensitive comments to the LGBTQ plus community, has tried to make his amends. I don't suspect that it's going to affect him mentally, and Thomas at this price tag sitting below Schauffele is an absolute steal. He's coming in second in our custom model, first tee to green, first on approach. So you're getting the best ball striker in the field, and he's only the third highest priced player. And we know Thomas is upside with the putter as well if he gets hot with that flat stick. Coming in 67th in this field over the last 24 measured rounds in strokes game putting right now, but he definitely has upside to improve on that. And he's 9th around the green. Thomas, this is a mispricing in his comparison to Xander. JT was T3 here last year, solo third the year prior to that. I don't see any reason why Thomas is priced below Schauffele, and 21.2% projected ownership. Sits below Rahm, so not going to scare me away at all. I really do like JT this week at this price and this ownership. I also like, and shouldn't surprise you, our boy this year is Rory McIlroy. $10,600 price tag, 16.8% projected ownership. It's going to be his first time playing the Waste Management. Kind of a bummer that he's not going to get the full crowd experience, but Rory's been on the biggest stages in golf, right? He's a phenomenal competitor in the Ryder Cup, which is probably the highest pressure situation you can find in golf, maybe outside of a major championship, but some might argue that the Ryder Cup carries more pressure. So we know that, regardless of what the environment's going to be like, Rory McIlroy is, going to do his thing. And if he does his thing and plays up to his capability, we know that the ceiling is that he can win this event. Again, he's never played the event before, but I don't see any reason why he shouldn't have success around this golf course. He comes 11th in the custom model, 4th tee to green, 53rd on approach, which, he can have some upside to improve on that. 17th around the green, which is actually better than I expected to see for Rory around the green, and 36th with the putter, not bad at all. So yeah, if Rory comes in with that driver ready to go and can improve a little bit on his approach numbers, again, I think this guy has a chip on his shoulder. The fact that he's even playing this event for the first time in his career sort of speaks to the fact that he has a chip on his shoulder. And if you go take a look at Rory McIlroy's upcoming schedule, the events he's committed to a lot more events this PGA Tour season than I've seen in the past. So Rory seems to have a renewed focus, again, a chip on his shoulder. So at $10,600, 16.8% projected ownership, a guy who very well could finish this year the number one ranked player in the world. Yeah, sign me up for some Rory McIlroy. And the last top shelf play, he's your defending champion. We're on Bermuda. It's Webb Simpson, $10,100, 18.2% projected ownership. This guy's a stud, man. Like, if you don't consider Webb Simpson up with the elite players in the world, you might want to reconsider your thoughts. This dude has been an absolute baller for years now. Coming in 3rd in the custom model, 16th tee to green, 2nd on approach, 49th around the green, which he can certainly improve on. And 11th putting, which, I mean, if he gets hot with the putter, we've seen what he can do. He can literally lap the rest of the field with that putter. So even with the 11th ranking there, he provides upside with that flat stick. Love Webb at $10,100. I mean, between JT, Rory, and Webb, I'd probably just take the discount and go down to Webb, a guy who's shown how much he can dominate this golf course, can dominate Bermuda greens, and you get the price savings and only 18.2% projected ownership. So Webb looking like a very strong play, and really one of the safer plays on the board, a guy who typically does make cuts, especially at golf courses that don't require a lot of length off the tee. So like Webb Simpson at that $10,100 price tag and 18.2% projected ownership. That means we like 4 of the 5 guys priced above $10,000 this week. Again, Xander Schauffele at $11,000 is overpriced in my opinion, so we can leave him to the wayside. But we're going to have some decisions to make up top here, especially because the mid-tier is pretty stacked. So grabbing 2 of these guys up top is going to be pretty difficult, given that we don't really want to dip down into the SCHWAG bag too often. So yeah, try to spread your shares amongst these guys as best you can. And, if you have a lean on any of these guys that you want to hammer and gain your leverage that way, absolutely do that. My preferences likely would be JT, Rory, or Webb. But of course you can look to Rahm as well, especially if you like that Arizona State narrative. And that takes us to the mid-shelf plays. Mid-shelf plays are priced below $10,000 in DraftKings salary and $7,500 or more. So we're between $7,500 and $10,000 in pricing here. Get a little drink really quickly. Going with Gatorade instead of water today. I need to replenish them electrolytes. You know what I mean, y'all? You know what I mean? All right. The mid-shelf plays for the 2021 Waste Management Phoenix Open. Our first mid-shelf play, man, we have not seen this guy win in a while, but he has won at this event in his past. It's Hideki Matsuyama. $9,800 price tag, 11.6% projected ownership. And you might be surprised to hear me mention Matsuyama's name, given that, putting is a part of our model. But Matsuyama, typically a pretty underrated, around the green player because of the narrative around how bad of a putter he is. But around the green, Matsuyama is good. So Matsuyama coming in 24th in the custom model, 10th tee to green, 9th on approach, 67th around the green. But as I mentioned, he is a good around the green player and provides upside to improve on that number. And 126th in strokes gained putting in this field over the last 24 measured rounds. So Matsuyama's a high price guy that you're just going to have to hope comes with the putter, because he's going to do it all with the ball striking. You can count on him to do it with the ball striking. It's just how many strokes will he or will he not bleed away on the greens. That's a gamble that you'd have to be willing to take, but at 11.6% projected ownership, it's one that I think is warranted. I suspect that ownership is so low on Hideki because of this guy that's priced below him, and you guys know how much I love myself some Daniel Berger, $9,600 price tag, 21.9% projected ownership. Berger, not, dissimilar to Webb, feels like just a pretty safe play, right? A guy that makes a lot of cuts, or at least has made a lot of cuts here recently. He's been in great form. He's coming in first in the custom model, second tee to green, third on approach, 19th around the green, and 14th putting. So literally no weaknesses in this man's game for what we're going to have to see him do around here. Yeah, the ownership play would be to go to Hideki because, Hideki also has the upside to win this event, but the safer floor, I think, rests with Daniel Berger at this $9,600 price tag. You're gonna pay up in ownership at 21.9%, but you do get the $200 cost savings, which can be important here. Again, I don't really love the SCHWAG bag this week, so a $200 savings can bump you up from a guy at the high end of the SCHWAG bag to a guy at the low end of the mid tier, which could make a difference this week. So I do like Daniel Berger at $9,600. Don't love the ownership projection, but it's fine at that 21.9%. The next mid-shelf play, and he is my pick to win this event, it's Sungjae Im. $9,400, 14.8% projected ownership. And look, Sungjae loves to play on these Bermuda courses where your winning score is going to be in like the mid to high teens, where strokes gained approach is going to be, very heavily weighted. That's a Sungjae event. So I absolutely love Sungjae this week. They've priced him up to $9,400, which gives us a decent ownership discount at 14.8%. Projected ownership. He's coming in 20th in the custom model, 18th tee to green, 27th on approach, 94th around the green is the red flag. So we're really going to need Sungjae to be getting up and down this week. And if he does, he's going to pay off this price tag in spades. He's 27th with the putter on these Bermuda surfaces over the last 24 measured rounds in this field. Sungjae is my favorite mid-shelf play, given his salary and ownership projection. I think he's going to be, up there near the top of the leaderboard come Sunday. And I'd be honestly surprised if he weren't. This course is a great fit. Sungjae has been in great form. He came T7 in his first try here in 2019, came T34 last year, so made the cut both times he's played this event. Yeah, fire up Sungjae, $9,400, 14.8% projected ownership. I also like Harris English because he's just been balling out. He's been hitting the shit out of the ball. Tee to green numbers have been stellar lately. He's projected at 8.3% ownership at that $9,300 price tag. English is coming in, let's see, in our custom model, 8th. 24th tee to green, 26th on approach, 28th around the green, and 23rd putting. So yeah, he does everything that we want to see him do here pretty well. He's almost like a poor man's Daniel Berger in that regard. So can't really go wrong with Harris English, especially at the 8.3% projected ownership. I'm not in love with the price tag on him at $9,300, given that I can pay $100 more for Sungjae. But English has been playing well enough that he does, in fact, really truly deserve this price tag. Which I can almost say about the guy below him as well at $9,200. Ryan Palmer is priced at $9,200 in this field. Has 9.5% projected ownership at that price tag, which is decently healthy. And I'm still going to mention his name. After mentioning him again last week, and he came through again last week, another top 5 finish for Ryan Palmer. This guy's just been balling lately, man. It's something about him. He's coming in 6th in the custom model, 8th tee to green in this field over the last 24 measured rounds, 22nd on approach, 15th around the green, and 71st with the putter on these Bermuda surfaces. So if we can get Palmer to just be neutral on the greens, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he pays off a $9,200 price tag. And at only 9.5% projected ownership, he allows you to get pretty different pretty quickly. So while it feels certainly like Palmer's overpriced in this field, and he probably is. His recent play it backs it up. So I'm going to ride the Ryan Palmer train one more week at this $9,200 price tag and see if he can bag himself a victory maybe, because this course would lend itself to Palmer being able to potentially break through. Let's see what his recent finishes here. So he's been cut at this event 3 of the last 5 years. I don't think Ryan Palmer's ever been playing so well coming into a Waste Management Phoenix Open in his career, though. So, circumstances might be a little bit different this time. His best finish is T24 in 2016. So he does at least have a top 25 finish to his name at this event. So yeah, Palmer, even at this elevated price tag, I think you got to at least take a look at him. Man, this next guy, yeah, we're going to go back to the well. Scottie Scheffler, $9,100 price tag this week, priced below Ryan Palmer. Scottie Scheffler blows my fucking mind. Should blow yours too. 7.1% projected ownership, lower projected ownership. And look, I get it. Scheffler hasn't been playing well lately. But as I've mentioned with these young guys, we can't expect them all to have incredible consistency, in their first 24, 36, 48 months on tour. It's going to take a little bit of time for them to figure out that consistency and get that consistency in their game. For the time being, Scheffler's just an absolutely high upside, volatile play. And if he hits, he is going to pay someone off big. So we want that to be us. And Scheffler is one of the premier young talents on tour. So if he's only going to come in at 7.1% projected ownership, lower than Ryan Palmer at a cheaper price tag, and I did just go through the whole Palmer spiel, so I get why people are on Ryan Palmer, but I would rather go to Scheffler at this price tag, even given that he's burned us a couple weeks in a row. That's the reason why we're getting him this cheap. So take a look at Scottie Scheffler this week, guys. I think he does warrant a look. He did get cut here last year in his only try, but man, this kid's super, super talented, and the upside is infinite. So take a look at Scheffler this week, guys. Another guy you can look at just because of his name value, really, it's Brooks Koepka. $8,800 price tag on Brooks Koepka. That probably, makes some hair stand up on your neck. 8.5% projected ownership at that price tag probably made, that hair stand up doubly because it just seems so wrong. But again, I just don't know how motivated Brooks is, especially at events like this. The only time he played Waste Management, he's played it twice since 2016. Came T42 in 2017 and T41 in 2016. So hasn't had any great success here. Yeah, I don't know. I would actually rather probably, and I didn't mention this guy, and I probably should have, just because you never know. He carries the upside to win any event he shows up at as well. Another volatile play, similar to Scheffler, but not of the young gun mold. Louis Oosthuizen is at $8,900. He came solo third here in 2017. I might even rather look to Louis than to Brooks at $8,800, but I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Brooks Koepka's name at this cheap of a price tag and this low of ownership in a field as weak as this one is. And this isn't a weak field, but for Brooks Koepka to be priced where he is and at this low of ownership, it just feels wrong. I won't be going there very often, but just thought I would bring it to your guys' attention. A guy who I normally don't mention as a play almost ever, but we're going to go with him this week at the Waste Management. Ricky Fowler, $8,600 price tag, 13% projected ownership. And it's because we're looking at these short game statistics on Bermuda so much, right? Fowler is great around the green and great on these Bermuda surfaces, which is good enough for us, to be honest with you. He has the win here a couple years ago. He's coming in 14th in the custom model, 23rd tee to green, 39th on approach, 25th around the green, and 41st with the putter. And we know Fowler has more upside than that with the putter. So if there were ever a week to roll the dice on Ricky Fowler, I think this is the week. So Fowler, $8,600, 13% projected ownership. I also like Russell Henley at $8,200, 12.9% projected ownership. Henley coming in 5th in the custom model, 22nd tee to green, 4th on approach, 45th around the green, and 45th putting. So we're going to need Henley to have a good week around the greens and show some upside with the flat stick in order to really, really pay off this price tag in tournaments and GPPs. But that's a possibility. And to get a ball striker this good and at the low $8,000 price range in this field, it feels like an opportunity that, we want to take advantage of. So Henley at $8,200 is going to be a decent pivot off these next two players priced just below him that are also phenomenal ball strikers in their pricing tier. One of them being Siwoo Kim, who's $100 cheaper than Henley at $8,100, and Kim has less projected ownership at 7.5% projected ownership, coming in 9th in the custom model, 14th tee to green, 21st on approach, 8th around the green, and 85th putting. So, similar to Hideki, I think because Siwoo's such a bad putter, maybe there's a narrative around him that he's not a good around the green player, but Siwoo can seriously make some hay around the green, which makes me like him, of course, even more at this golf course. Siwoo's course history, he's been cut his last two times here. Came T62 in 2018, was cut in 2017, and came T67 in 2016. So he has not shown any upside around this golf course, but Siwoo, of course, in phenomenal form, coming off a win a few weeks back. The confidence should be sky high. I don't necessarily mind going to him at this price tag, $8,100, 7.5% projected ownership, because both Siwoo and Henley are really acting as pivots off of this next player. One Mr. Corey Connors, $7,900 price tag, 17.2% projected ownership, and it's just too cheap for Connors. Guy who made the cut here last year, came T45. He's coming in 23rd in our custom model, 2nd tee to green, 16th on approach, 76th around the green, and 112th with the putter. So yeah, you're getting an elite ball striker in this field at under $8,000. Feels like a no-brainer to just go to. With that being said, like I mentioned, Henley and Siwoo Kim, viable pivots. There's also a player priced below Connors that is a viable pivot. So if you think Connors, if the around the green and on the green numbers are enough to shy you away from the immaculate ball striking numbers, then you do have some viable pivots around him in tournaments. If I were playing a cash game, though, something where it's like a 50-50, where I don't necessarily have to come in first place, I'm just trying to outpace most of the field, Connors looks like an absolute smash play. To get a ball striker this good at a price tag under $8,000 it's something that you don't want to think about too much. Let's just go ahead and do it. The other pivot I mentioned below Connors at $7,800, 5% projected ownerships, Jason Day. Another big name similar to Koepka, who's just, priced very low in this field and around names that he really shouldn't be, around Carlos Ortiz and Matt Kuchar and Max Homa and Sam Burns. I mean, this is Jason Day, right? Coming in 21st in our custom model, 17th tee to green, 65th on approach. And Day, that's been sort of a theme with him. That's why his game's sort of taken a bit of a dive. The approach numbers just haven't been as good as he was able to get them when he was really in his heyday, as well as the putting numbers. He's coming in 30th putting, but we know that when Day is performing his best, he's going to be one of the best putters in the field. So we're still going to need Day to show some upside with the putter. The ball striking, the approach numbers we'd like to see improve, but we have to keep in mind he's only $7,800. So what do we really need out of Jason Day here as far as the finish is concerned? Like, a top 15 and he makes enough birdies to post enough DraftKings points to be in the optimal lineup. That's certainly within the possibility of outcomes here. So Jason Day, $7,800, only 5% projected ownership, which absolutely blows my mind. At Farmers last week, he missed the cut, right? Lost 1.6 strokes tee to green. But that's the first time we had seen him since the RSM in November. So maybe just a tune-up for J Day, and we hope we see those tee to green numbers return to what we were seeing him start to round into form at the end of last year, where he came 12th at the RSM, 7th at the Houston Open, and he gained 7.4 strokes tee to green at that Houston Open. So Day clearly has still shown upside, even as recent as the end of last year. So at this price tag, I'm especially at this price tag and ownership, I'm certainly willing to fire up Jason Day. And the last mid-shelf play is Mr. Chris Kirk, $7,500 price tag, 15% projected ownership. Yeah, I mean, he's priced only $300 below Jason Day, which is crazy, but Kirk, over his last 5 times around at this event, has gained over 11 strokes total. Was cut last year, but prior to that, made his last 4 cuts, a T50, a T11, a T34, and a T37. So has shown a little bit of consistency around this golf course. Coming in the custom model, 29th, 30th tee to green, 23rd on approach, 78th around the green, and 70th with the putter. So we're just going to need Kirk to show some upside with the short game this week, and he should pay off the $7,500 price tag. So Chris Kirk, he is carrying some ownership. A lot of other people are seeing what we're seeing at this 15% projected ownership, but again, if you're in cash games, to be able to get guys that are striking the ball well in comparison to their price tag, that's usually the route that we want to take. We don't want to necessarily have to rely on a hot putter to get us there. In tournaments, trying to go with a guy that's riding a hot putter is not necessarily a bad idea if the ownership is right. And yeah, Chris Kirk takes us to the end of the mid-tier, which brings up the best part of the show, the SCHWAG bag. I'm going to re-spark this baby. I'm going to get a little drink of Gatorade, and we're going to get into it, y'all. God, I love me some SCHWAG bag. Even when I don't love all the players in the SCHWAG bag, kind of like this week, still love doing the SCHWAG bag. Because this is, one of these guys wins an event one of these weeks, and we're gonna be swimming in the money. All right. Let's see. We've got 12 SCHWAG bag plays this week that we're going to move through, none of which I feel incredibly confident about. So this should be fun. The first, Mr. Brendan Steele, $7,400 price tag, 13.1% projected ownership, coming in 13th in the custom model, 9th tee to green, 11th on approach, 77th around the green, and 47th putting. Steele is just... Look, I would rather go to a guy like Chris Kirk or even try to find the money to go up to Jason Day. Steele's been playing well lately. Gained 6.4 strokes tee to green at the American Express, 5.2 strokes tee to green at the Sony. So that's why he's carrying, this elevated ownership at 13.1%. But long term, Steele doesn't necessarily warrant this price tag or this ownership, particularly the ownership. Over his last 5, he's gained 0.4 strokes tee to green and 0.6 strokes on approach, while losing 1.7 strokes putting and gaining 0.1 stroke around the green. So not instilling a ton of confidence here over his last 5 events, especially considering that his last 2 events have been so stellar. So if you want to ride the form on Steele, as some seem to be doing at this 13.1% projected ownership, then yeah, it looks good enough. He's statting out well enough in our model. The course history for Steele here at TPC Scottsdale, he's been cut the last 2 times, but came T3 in 2018, T16 in 2017, and T17 in 2016. So even though he's been cut around here the last 2 times, still clearly has some upside coming into the event with good form. It just feels like Brendan Steele, to me, is a guy who, when he's popular, I typically like to fade him. But he is popular for a reason, right, guys? So Brendan Steele, $7,400, 13.1% projected ownership. I won't get over the field on him. I'll likely just match the field on him. And, you guys are welcome to make your own decisions as you see fit. I also like Rory Sabatini, $7,300 price tag. Would prefer to go to Steele than Sabatini. 5.2% projected ownership is really what was appealing for Sabatini. Coming in 12th in the custom model, 20th tee to green, 47th on approach, 7th around the green, and 43rd with the putter. So yeah, it does everything that we want to see around here, pretty decently. Played okay at the Farmers. He did come 10th, but the tee to green numbers were just meh. Gained 0.6 strokes tee to green, lost 0.1 strokes on approach, and gained 4 strokes with the putter. Also gained 1.4 strokes around the green. So as I mentioned, these tournament plays, if the ownership's right, sometimes I don't mind riding a hot putter. And Sabatini has a hot putter, likes putting on Bermuda surfaces, and as long as the ball striking comes in somewhat decently, and at the American Express, he gained 6.5 strokes tee to green. If we get a performance like that, he is going to way outperform this price tag. So take a look at Rory Sabatini down at that 5.2% projected ownership and $7,300 price tag. A ball striker extraordinaire in this pricing range is Byung-Hun An, Benny An, at $7,300, 12.6% projected ownership. I don't love, but the ball striking numbers I do love. And another guy who, because he's such a poor putter, people tend to, there might be this narrative around him that he's bad around the green. But another guy who's great around the green, even though he's a very poor putter. Coming in 15th in the custom model, 4th tee to green, 30th on approach, 1st around the green, and 124th with the putter. So yeah, at 12.6%, I think it's still warranted to fire up Ben On and just hope that he's not complete shit on the greens. And that's basically all I got. That's where I'm going to leave it with Benny On. $100 cheaper than On is Russell Knox, $7,200 price tag, 7.1% projected ownership. Before I get into Knox's stats, let me respark. Running out of real estate here with this puppy. All right, so I was on Russell Knox, $7,200 price tag, 7.1% projected ownership, as I said. Coming in 30th in the custom model, 34th tee to green, 12th on approach, 52nd around the green, and 121st with the putter. So another guy who just struggles around the green, struggles with the putter, but is a great ball striker for this price tag. Did struggle at the Farmers. Lost 1.1 strokes tee to green, but at the American Express gained 6.1 strokes tee to green. Over his last 5, he's gained an average of 1.9 strokes tee to green. So yeah, we're getting a great ball striker for this price tag. He's gained 1.9 strokes on approach as well over his last 5 events on average. So we're getting a phenomenal ball striker, as I mentioned multiple times now, at this pricing range. And we just have to hope that the short game turns around a bit. He did gain 1.8 strokes with the putter at the Farmers, so maybe he is seeing a little bit of putting luck, or maybe he's turning it around a bit with the flat stick here lately. So you can look to Russell Knox at $7,200 and 7.1% projected ownership. You could also take a look at Michael Thompson. Michael Thompson coming in at a $7,200 price tag as well. Only 3.5% projected ownership. Thompson coming in 31st in the custom model, 68th tee to green, 35th on approach, 63rd around the green. So none of that you're going to love. But 9th with the putter on Bermuda surfaces. And as I mentioned, in GPPs, in these large field tournaments, taking someone who can just get excruciatingly hot with the putter is not the worst idea, especially if the ball striking numbers do leave room for upside, which I believe they do for Thompson. So if the 3.5% projected ownership seems juicy to you as it does to me for a guy who putts this well on Bermuda, take a look at Michael Thompson, $7,200 price tag again, 3.5% projected ownership. Let's see. Thompson has not played this event yet, so this will be his first time playing the event. So let's see what Michael Thompson has around TPC Scottsdale. A sort of dart throw at this point that I kind of like. I mentioned him the last few weeks. Charlie Hoffman, $7,000 price tag, 4.5% projected ownership. Another guy who's just a good ball striker, a high pedigree player for this pricing range. And that's really the reason why I like him. He's made the cut around this golf course the last 5 years. But doesn't really present much upside. His best finish being a T24. But T24 realistically could be good enough for us here, especially given that Hoffman, typically a player that's making some birdies, right? He's making birdies and giving those back with bogeys, which we like for DraftKings scoring. That scores us more DraftKings points. So Chuck Hoffman, $7,000 flat. You can give him a look. He's coming in 7th in the custom model, 18th tee to green, 5th on approach, 58th around the green, and 35th with the putter. So He's been putting solid, especially on these Bermuda surfaces. If he can tighten up the around the green game, then he presents us upside at this price tag. You're going to sense a common theme. Another great ball striker down here. Keegan Bradley, $6,900 price tag. 4.2% projected ownership. Another sub 5% ownership down here for a great ball striker. And he can't putt. 125th in this field in strokes gained putting over the last 24 measured rounds. But he's 7th tee to green, 33rd on approach, and 26th around the green. at this low ownership and low price tag, I love Keegan Bradley. He's a guy that always carries tremendous upside. If Keegan's hot, he can go nuclear. So I would certainly be taking a long and hard look at Keegan Bradley. Trying to pull his tournament history here. So he's made the cut 4 of his last 5 times at TPC Scottsdale. Came T49 last year. His best finish was T24 in 2016. So again, similar to Hoffman, a top 25 finish with tons of birdies, as Keegan Bradley's known to make. That could pay off this price tag for sure. So Bradley at $6,900, 4.2% projected ownership. I do prefer Bradley to the next guy, Cameron Tringale, at the same price, $6,900, 5.9% projected ownership. Tringale coming in 10th in the custom model, 15th tee to green, 7th on approach, 55th around the green, and 58th with the putter. My one concern with Tringale is that the around the green game has been poor lately. Typically a decent around, or a neutral around the green player. He's lost strokes around the green in his last 3 events consecutively, which is a little concerning to see, especially since we're waiting around the green number so much. But you are getting a great tee to green player, again, keeping true to the theme down here in this pricing range and really across our entire player pool this week. And while you're not getting quite as good of an around the green player as Keegan Bradley at the same price tag, they are fairly similar plays. So while I would prefer Bradley at the reduced ownership and the same price tag, if you're a Tringale guy, I can't stop you from going for it. He looks pretty solid this week. The next play is Harold Varner III. HV3 burned us last week, coming in at a $6,700 price tag, 4.5% projected ownership. I'm not afraid at all to go back to him. I mean, maybe he was just shaking off the rust. It was his first appearance here in the 2021 calendar year. So HV3 coming in 19th in the custom model, 10th tee to green, 41st on approach, 12th around the green, and 114th with the putter. So if Varner can just find some neutral putting here on these Bermuda surfaces, his tee to green game absolutely stacks up, as does his around the green game, especially at a $6,700 price tag and only 4.5% projected ownership. It is a bit of a dice roll given that he played poorly last week, and you don't know if that's really a symptom of just rust to getting back out there on tour or if it's a symptom of poor form. But I'm willing to pay to find out. Varner was cut here last year, but came T10 in 2019. So clearly has upside. Made 3 of his last 5 cuts around here. Yeah, seems like a good time to buy low on Varner at this $6,700 price tag, 4.5% projected ownership. A dart throw you can take at $6,500 is one Mr. Tom Hoge. Hoge came T25 here last year, T44 here the year before that, was cut in 2018, so made 2 of his last 3 cuts around this golf course, and statted out better than I thought he would. 16th in the custom model, 26th tee to green, surprised me a bit, 40th on approach, 31st around the green, and 50th putting. So yeah, he's just doing everything solid at a $6,500 price tag. You're not expecting much upside at all out of Tom Hoge, which is why I don't necessarily love him in comparison to a guy like Varner. But yeah, if you end up down here in this $6,500 range, there are only a few people that I think you can realistically look at, and Hoge is one of them. Another one of them is Matthew Nesmith, the same price tag, $6,500, carrying a bit more ownership, about 5 times the ownership of Hoge. Nesmith projected for 6.2% ownership, coming in 27th in the custom model, 27th tee to green, 18th on approach. So again, great ball striker for the pricing tier. 81st around the green and 71st with the putter. Of course, not great, but that's why we're getting this discount in both price and in ownership. So again, if you're down here at $6,500 or below, there weren't many people that I could realistically get behind. One of them's Hoge, another of them's Nesmith. And while I'm not in love with either of them, there are roster constructions where you might have to dip down into this pricing range. So these would be the guys I would look at. And the last guy I would look at below $6,500. And again, complete dart throw here, but we'll see what he can do this week. It's Jinjun Jiang, $6,300 price tag, 1.1% projected ownership. Feels like a touch low. Like that should be at like maybe 2.5. So it feels like we're getting that ownership cut in half because he played well here in his first appearance last year. Let's see. Came T25, gained 5.8 strokes total here last year. I mean, a top 25 at this price tag would be more than enough. Let's take a look at his recent form. So came 60th at the Farmers and lost 0.6 strokes tee to green, lost 1.1 strokes on approach, but gained 3.3 strokes around the green and gained 0.8 strokes putting. At the American Express, he gained half a stroke tee to green, lost again on approach, almost 2 strokes on approach, but gained another 2.3 around the green and gained 0.6 strokes putting. The around the green game has been stellar for Zhang here lately, which we love to see, especially coming into this event this week. The putter's been, a little bit volatile, but we're okay with that at this price tag and 1.1% projected ownership. We just need him to post really the ball striking numbers from the Sony. We need him to be in the green when it comes to tee to green numbers. We need him to be, positive. That 1.6 strokes gain tee to green at the Sony, that's what we need to see here from Zhang at the Waste Management, and he will pay off this price tag and allow you to be very unique in your roster constructions this week, which, remember guys, that's what we're after. If you have to leave some money on the table, like leave some salary behind, or you have to pivot to someone that's lower owned, we want to make sure that we're building ways to unique lineups. And when I say leave some money on the table, $100, $200 is plenty. There are so many combinations in this field that, we shouldn't have to try too hard to be unique in going, leaving $600-$700 on the table. We don't necessarily want to do that, but we do want to make sure that we aren't taking all of the chalk plays and using all of our salary for all of our lineups, because being unique is key in these tournaments on DraftKings, where the top prize basically is the entire prize pool for all intents and purposes. So that closes out the swag bag, and that closes out our episode for the 2021 Waste Management Phoenix Open. Again, guys, I really appreciate all the support you all continue to show me. I'm hoping that you guys are having tons of success on DraftKings and enjoying your time, most importantly, having fun on the platform, because that's what it's all about. I know I have tons of fun playing. I'll be playing again this week, and I hope to see you guys climb the top of some leaderboards. Shoot me texts if you do. Please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the videos, follow me on Instagram, at Hit the Green Podcast. Make sure you like all of our stuff. We really appreciate it. Have an awesome Super Bowl weekend, guys. Have an awesome Super Bowl Sunday and an awesome Waste Management Open Sunday. I wish you nothing but the best, and may the gods of the bets be with you. Love you guys. Peace.